Welcome to another episode of the Einstein Retirement Daily, where we curate financial, economic, and market news for the headlines that affect today's retirees. Today we'll talk about the Government Accountability Office. They discovered $8.5 billion were left behind between 2004 and 2013. Did you participate in those statistics? Also, we'll look at how 401k plans are being used to entice a very competitive labor market. All this coming right up. As always, if you hear something in today's podcast that makes you want to take some action, please do not view this podcast as specific tax, legal, or investment advice. This podcast should not be viewed in such way. In fact, if you feel an inkling to take some action based on something you hear today, please review the thoughts that you're having with the appropriate tax, legal, or investment professional who knows your specific circumstance prior to making any decisions. Okay, Sarah O'Brien from CNBC wrote an article about some lost 401k accounts and lost pension accounts and how lawmakers are looking to fix the problem. So what she discovered in the Government Accountability Report was that there is about $8.5 billion that have been left behind in very small accounts. Why very small accounts? Because these are the accounts that are most often overlooked. And so people might have a short stint with an employer, they put some money into a plan, and the account maybe stays at a very small value, and people forget about it, unfortunately. And so the total amount came out to about $8.5 billion, and that was over a period from 2004 to 2013. How do we know that these are potentially also lost accounts? Well, last year alone, the Labor Department, which is partially responsible for what is called ERISA law, which governs retirement plans, is responsible for helping people find their lost dollars. And the total amount of dollars lost and found last year was more than $1.5 billion in 2020. So pretty incredible. Also, the Pension Benefit Guarantee Corporation can assist with finding plans. So the Labor Department and the Pension Benefit Guarantee Corporation, if you think maybe you have a plan or a pension benefit, 401k plan or a pension benefit that you can't really remember the details, it is possible that these two entities could help you find that lost plan. One thing that Sarah O'Brien highlights is that there is a proposal to implement a lost and found database provided by the U.S. government, and I assume that this would fall under ERISA, an expansion of ERISA law, and also fall under the Labor Department's responsibilities. But we'll see. It's a lot of money that's out there sitting dormant that people maybe don't even realize that they have. Sarah O'Brien, in her article, did also highlight some of the reasons not to leave your plans in an old employer plan. And I want to highlight those here because I thought that was pretty good, and some of the thoughts there were good reminders even for me of some of the reasons to not leave dollars behind. You know, 401k plans have one major benefit compared to many IRA accounts, although many IRA accounts are now fee-free, if you will, where it doesn't cost you anything to have the IRA. But often in times gone by, the IRA is going to tend to have higher fees because you have to pay them, whereas the employer pays your 401k fees. So that has been a reason to leave money in a 401k plan, but I would say for the most part, that reason is going away quite rapidly, and it's not really a good reason any longer because there are plenty of IRA accounts that can have very little and definitely no fees. Here are the reasons that were highlighted for not to leave your 401k plan behind. If your company, your former employer, relocates, especially if they happen to relocate where their primary headquarters or place of doing business is out of the country, that can make tracking down old documents and points of contact to get information on your plan especially difficult. So that would be one reason. Another reason is that companies can change their name. They often change their name, especially if they're, say, acquired by another company. Oftentimes when companies are acquired by another company, then there's a big transition period. They're merging plans from, the acquiring company and the one selling, and so that can create a lot of havoc. You might see your plan switch from one custodian to another. When I say custodian, I'm talking about like a Fidelity or a Schwab or something like that. Okay, so those shifts can occur. So that can obviously make it difficult to find details about your plan and leads to lots of phone calls. Okay, this is something I've experienced directly with clients, is chasing down old plans. And so you get into a phone call after phone call after phone call until you finally find the right person. Another reason is that dollars in a plan that do not meet the minimum requirements for the plan can be what is called orphaned. Okay? Orphaned is when you are effectively removed from the plan, and whoever the custodian of the plan was now takes that plan over and moves it into, say, an IRA account. They can also just simply send you a check, and then those dollars would be taxable. But be aware that orphaned accounts can also sell your investments. So you might have thought that you were invested in some stocks, but because the account became orphaned, they sold all of your stocks, and now you're just holding a money market account. So you got to be aware of that. That can absolutely happen. One of the last reasons is that if you don't keep your information up to date, we're a very mobile society. We move around a lot. And so if you're moving around from location to location, you got to keep your address information up to date with these various plans. Otherwise, you may stop receiving communications, stop receiving statements, and that's how you just kind of forget about some of these accounts, especially if the dollar amounts are fairly small. In more 401k news, I found an article from Peter Dunn, also in a personal finance section. The first article was from CNBC. This one's from USA Today. And Peter Dunn wrote an article entitled, "I'm behind in retirement savings. Will a new 401k plan solve my problem?" When I first saw the headline, I thought, no. But it is interesting how the article turned out, and it was interesting to me primarily from an economic perspective and what we're seeing, say, in the labor market. So the scenario is a gal named Rebecca from St. Louis wrote in a question to Peter Dunn and said, "Hey, I'm being told that the employer of one of my friends is hiring like crazy. I probably could get a job there, and also their 401k plan looks a lot better than mine. Should I switch jobs?" Well, here was the big difference. Her current plan apparently offered a low match, maybe a 3% match. I'm not sure it had that detail there. But the new plan was offering a 6% match. And so the recommendation from Peter was be careful about the matching rules and see the specifics exactly, but it does sound like a pretty good deal and something that you should definitely look into. So what's interesting to me about this is that apparently 401k plans are now being used as a recruitment tool for higher wage earner people. I don't think 401k plans is going to be a great tool for, say, your Walmarts, your Targets, your restaurants, McDonald's, those sorts of places. Maybe. It would be interesting to see if those kinds of plans could be used as a way to entice labor, but I'm thinking maybe not so much. But in the higher wage earning market, employers right now are really struggling to hire labor and get people to come work for them. So by offering a very competitive or an extra boost, let's say, to a retirement plan, a plan that does allow an employer to get a tax break, because When you make a contribution to your 401k plan, you get a tax break, but when your employer makes a contribution on your behalf, they also get a tax break for those contributions. So it's an interesting way to offer extra compensation and also a little tax insulation for employers without just and only offering higher wages. Because higher wages, at a baseline level, higher wages for an employer means they're paying more on their workman's comp, they're paying more FICA taxes potentially, and potentially other types of insurances. Many companies offer life insurance based on pay, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of reasons that employers would favor offering a very generous 401k plan versus just simply increasing wages to compete in today's inflated and competitive labor market. So look for that. It's possible that that could be of great value and something that would be absolutely worth looking for. Peter Dunn wisely, I would say, highlighted that matching contributions can be very complicated. Some plans also, I didn't read that he had said this, but it's something that I do know about, have vesting schedules. So they might offer a very competitive matching program, let's say, but let's say you're planning on retiring within the next 5 years and your plan doesn't vest for 5 years. Well, maybe you don't want to necessarily switch jobs, because what if you decide to retire sooner? Okay, that's maybe a little too close of a cut. So just be aware of those things. Most 401k plans, though, are now what are called safe harbor plans. Safe harbor plans come really in 3 different types. And so let me just cover those real quickly, because it'll be easy to notice if the employer that you're moving towards is using a safe harbor plan. Safe harbor plans are great. What it allows for an employer to do is to reduce costs for compliance and reporting, which can be very expensive, especially the larger the employer, the more expensive it is to provide the reporting on compliance and those reporting requirements for 401k plans. By being a safe harbor plan, means they're following some basic rules that saves the company a lot of money, which is more money they can pay employees and offer extra benefits to you. Let's talk about a safe harbor plan. One type of safe harbor plan is a company that has a 3% non-elective contribution, meaning they put 3% in your 401k account on your behalf whether you put any money in or not. That's one type. Another type is the type that does a match of 3% and then offers an additional 50% on the next 2. So it leads to a total of a 4% match, but that's the basic type. Basic type means if you put in 5%, the company will match 4%. You put in 3, they match 100% of that. The next 2%, they match half of that for a total of 4%. The last type is an enhanced match, and this can go like this. They match up to 4%, 100%. Now, with this enhanced match, they can go all the way up to 6%. So your safe harbor plan, oftentimes you'll find companies that will offer a 6% match. So you do 6, they do 6. You do 10, they do 6. Okay, it's a 100% match up to 6%. You do 5%, they do 5%. Okay, but up to 6% is very common, and I would say we see that all the time. Okay, as always, the articles will be linked in the description section. Encourage you to check them out. I enjoyed both of the articles today. I don't always enjoy them, but today's articles are pretty good, and I encourage you to read them. If you're not already familiar with Einstein Retirement Workshops, we encourage you to attend one of our live workshops. Our most popular one is on Social Security, and we have a lot of fun, so we'd encourage you to register to attend. If you're not sure how to do that, follow our Facebook page. Just look for Einstein Social Security or Einstein Retirement Workshops. Send us a message and we'll get you a link so that you can sign up for an event. With that, we encourage you as well to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow our Facebook page, and look for us on additional content, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.